All right, so I'm now recording, so I will try and post this as soon as possible after tonight. Obviously, it takes a little bit to get up there, and it's going to be a big video, so I'm going to post it to YouTube and go that route because Canvas doesn't accept large videos. So that being said, we are now recording, and I will share this video as soon as it's available to me. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the exterior walls and use our align dimension tool to give us some dimensions for our project. So let's grab the align dimension in your architect tab or DI on your keyboard. And we're gonna dimension some major elements. So I'm gonna go ahead and dimension this east wall here, this wall here where my little utility closet is, and then maybe I'll do this west wall. And that's pretty much a couple good measurements for that side of the building. Windows and stuff, we'll take a look at window dimensions and placement in our elevation views. So let's not get too crazy with our window dimensions in our plan view. Mainly, I'm looking for your major walls. So we'll go ahead and build this, another set of dimensions. And this is a pretty minor, it's still a wall. So I'll go ahead and dimension those walls. Something like that. This side of the building doesn't really seem to have any major pertinent walls intersecting it. So I'll go ahead and dimension the bottom side as well. So something like that. Bring your dimensions outside of, your doors or whatnot. You don't want your dimension lines intersecting other objects. Just to try to keep your drawings as clean as possible. So any questions there?
Graham, I did have a question. I wasn't looking at your sheet when you did that. Do you prefer that we pull the exterior dimensions, or does it not matter?
Whatever dimensions you feel are necessary for major dimension lines on that. So if you've got elements of interior, if you've got exterior elements, whatever you have, just major elements at this point. Okay. Windows and whatnot we'll take a look at in our elevation views, which, nice transition, we're going to go take a look at right now. So everybody probably already has some elevation views, yes, already set up around the outside of your project. I'm going to go ahead and place some on here real quick because I don't have any, but I'll place some real quick and then we will take a look at how they work. So if I go to views, elevations, and I'm just going to go ahead and put a couple elevations around the outside of my building. So you'll notice with these elevations, yours are already probably set that the inside, that the inside or the direction that's facing the house is already set for your elevation. Come on. I want to include that elevation. For some reason, it's not letting me. So I will just delete you and we'll restart. Let's go ahead and just copy this guy. For some reason, sorry guys, it's not letting me get the elevations the way I'm wanting to get them. Normally you can just click the line just like that. Okay. So why isn't it letting me do this before? There. All right. Now I've got all 4 elevations around the outside of the building. So one thing you'll notice if you have the elevations already there, you'll notice that you might have, if we click on this, it might be, only viewing a little bit. You might not even be in your elevation view. Your building might be not even reach the view, is what I'm trying to say. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that these elevations are close enough to the building, but not extending too far in, right? Because I don't want to see every single wall through here. I just want to get through the first exterior wall. So you can move by, if you click on the elevation and you click on right where the arrow is, you'll get a line that comes up like this. Is everyone kind of getting this line in this scope box, this section coming up when you click on that elevation?
Sorry, Graham. Mine's like totally different than yours.
Does the elevation look a little different?
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. This is an older version. This is an older elevation symbol. So the elevation symbol may look a hair different.
So we click on just the center, and then how do we get that line?
If you click, this should just go straight across, right? I think instead of curving on yours, I can open up a different project real quick.
Mine is a box with a little triangle on top of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not a
just a
circle.
box instead of a circle, right?
Yeah.
So you just click the triangle on the top of the box. Same concept, just a circle versus a box. That's all. So does that work for you? Did you get the? Okay. So once this.
Oh, sorry. I have both. I have the box with the triangle that's called building elevation, and then I have the circle that's coming up as interior elevation. I should be using interior, right?
To be honest, I don't care on this for this. It's all depending on what you have in the project. Some people may have an interior elevation set up. For the exterior, I would use a building elevation if you've got the two options. And then use an interior elevation when we build our interior rooms, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So anyhow, but if you click on this triangle, you should be able to get this to pop up, and then you can move this around a little bit, stretch it in and out, and just focus on the wall that elevation's on. So if I go to all of these walls, again, click on that triangle, and I can pull this back. And last but not least, I'll do it for this guy. Oh. Okay, so now that I have my elevations all set, and we're only going to do one of these elevations, I'm just kind of trying to get them set for you for the next couple steps that you're going to do. Once we have them set, let's go ahead and name them. So right now they're just named elevation. I think probably 1 through 4 or A through, mine are A through B, elevation 1, 2, and 3, but this doesn't mean anything to me, right? So we want to use names that are useful and meaningful. So let's go ahead, and if you click on the elevation and you go over to your properties, you'll notice that it has a name right here under the view name. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this elevation my east elevation. And you'll notice once that renames to east elevation in your project browser, I now have an east elevation. So I would say let's go ahead and do this and rename all of those views right now. So go click on the elevation and name it accordingly. So this is going to be the north. And actually that would be the west elevation. Sorry. All right, any questions there so far with setting your elevations around the exterior and renaming your view?
Hey, Graham, I had a couple. Can you hear me okay?
I can. From Hawaii?
Yes. So I used the template that we had set in week 3 or 4, right? And that came with some elevations east west. Is that
Yes.
okay? Okay.
Yeah, those are the elevations that most of you guys will be starting with that are already there. So
And does it make a difference how far the little elevation marker is offset from the boundary wall?
it doesn't, except for the cleanliness, and once you put it on a sheet, if it's too far away, your view is going to get really big. So I would keep that, you know, a relative distance, maybe realistically 5 to 10 feet away, right?
Okay.
You don't
I'll-
want it way out here, so that way you have to include, you know, an extra 40 feet on your view just to include.
Makes sense. I'll try to move it. Yeah. Okay,
So
thank you.
you can just click on that elevation, click on the triangle, and then let's see. This isn't pinned, so then you should be able to just click on the triangle and move it. Yeah, click on. So if you click on the circle or the square in your instance, you can just move that around. And then if you click on the triangle, it'll actually move the view itself.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions before we move on? Okay. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to now go and build a sheet. And so let's go and right click on sheets and build a new sheet. And we're going to call this, and just because we haven't built the other sheets yet, but we're going to go ahead and call this, I'll just call this A103 when we name it. So let's build a new sheet and I'll name it A103. It's just the third sheet. If you follow along the example packet that's on there, it's the third sheet of the elevations. We'll build the other sheets as we go along, but I just want to get some elevations put on a sheet. So we'll rename the sheet, sheet name elevations or elevation. And then let's go take a look. If we go back to our floor plan, and let's open up either by going to the project browser and double clicking one of the north, south, east, or west elevations, or you can click on the elevation itself, right click and go to elevation view. So what I want to do is I want to go to one of these views, either by going to the elevation view by right clicking on the elevation, or by going to the elevation in the project browser. All right. So you'll notice that I'm now seeing some type of an elevation for my exterior of the building. Is everyone seeing that of some type on your own project? Now the reason I have a roof, now you may have a roof, you may not. I don't care. You do not need a roof for this project. Okay, we're not going into that detail. The reason you're seeing it cut off right now, just so you can understand what's going on, is in this elevation view, I'm only viewing this far. If I brought this all the way out and then took a look at my elevation, you'll now see that you can see the roof of that house, right? So the reason that's cutting off is just because I'm only cropping, or I'm only capturing that front wall. I'm not capturing that entire roof line. So if I did want to catch the entire roof line, and for this project, maybe I do, you know, maybe I'll bring this out just to make it a little cleaner. If you don't have a roof, obviously it doesn't matter where your roof line is. And if you don't have a roof at this point, I wouldn't try and put one on. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that this view is kind of cropped nicely. You'll see that it's, you know, not too much area around my building. And once I have a view that's cropped somewhat nicely, let's go ahead and start taking a look at what our dimensions are for these windows. So I can use my annotate, in the annotate tab, use my align dimension tool. And take a dimension. And I'm going to go ahead and just use the exterior of the building. And right now it's wanting to grab the center line of the wall. And you'll probably see that when you hover over the edge of your building, you'll probably see that the dimension wants to grab the center line of the wall. But
Hey,
that's
Graham?
yes.
Sorry. No, this is Adrian. I was just gonna ask, how do you get the cropping around? I have my elevation, my east elevation view up, just
Make-
that crop.
If it's not cropped, come over to your properties and make sure the crop view and the crop region visible.
Oh. All right, thank you. Sorry.
Yep, no problem. Again, this is going to be something that you're going to see in almost every view. So whether it be a floor plan, a elevation, a section view, or even a 3D view, you will see that. So if you've got some major extents on something, make sure that you're cropping your views when we put them on sheets. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take some dimensions on these windows. And so what I'd like to do is use my align dimension tool and take a dimension from the edge of the building to the edge of the windows. Now you'll notice that by default, it wants to grab this center line. If you hit tab on your keyboard, you can force it to grab the edge of the building. So let's go ahead and grab the edge of the building. Let's grab the interior. I don't care if you grab the interior or the exterior. Let's go ahead and grab exteriors of your windows. That's how they're probably all built and sized. And then you can start taking some dimensions across this building. Okay, and we can bring those dimensions down. And then once we set some dimensions in the X and Y direction, depending on which way you're looking at it, let's set some elevations as well. So if we take a dimension off of this, this reference level 1 to the bottom of the window and to the top of the window, we can set a dimension that'll show that window height as well as this other window height, right? So now I've got some dimensions on my building, on the exterior of this building, that allow me to know how big the windows are, right? Because you can find out that it's 3 feet by 6 feet, and you can follow those lines out. But not only does it let me know how big the windows are, but it allows me to know exactly where they're located, right? So if we went to frame this, you could know where to frame these windows in. Okay, does that make sense? So all of our views, we're looking for some type of information that's going to allow me, if I look at this, to build this, right? Obviously, I'm not going to go build these houses, but if I were, I want to be able to know where that window is going to be, where that sink's going to be on the countertop, right? Where the casework is, how high up the casework is, right? We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the interior views. But the whole point of these views, and you'll notice that on all of my example drawings, the whole point is to be able to take this building and to be able to turn in something that you theoretically could build, right? So once I have these views or these dimensions on this view, we're gonna go ahead and put this on a sheet. So any questions real quick on the elevation portion of tonight's lesson? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, we'll go over to the sheet. And once we're on the sheet, we can go to our project browser. And I worked on the west elevation, so I can go ahead and just click and drag this west elevation, drag it over to my sheet. And there we go. And you might need a couple more sheets, right? Or you might need to change the scaling of something. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you that right now. If you do want to change the scaling of any of your views, if you click on your view, you'll notice in the bottom corner that we have some scaling right here. So right now we're at 1/2 inch equals a foot. So this is a pretty large scale. So maybe I'll take this down to 1/4 inch equals a foot. And yeah, that looks all right, right? I could fit 4 elevations on there, right? Give a northeast, south, and west elevation of your project. So make sure that you're using scales that are appropriate for whatever you are portraying, right? So if it's an enlarged view, maybe you want a bigger scale. If it is a full floor plan, we're going to want a smaller scale to be able to fit that view on. Okay? Does that make sense? Any questions right now? It's a lot to cover. I know a lot of you will probably reference this video. I hope you do. Okay? So that way we can make sure that we're getting all the stuff on there. Again, yes?
Oh, sorry. I was wondering if you could repeat where that scale was. Something in my Zoom was blocking
Sure,
my
absolutely.
view.
Yes. So in all of your views, if you double click on and make sure you're in a view, right? If you've brought this onto a sheet, normally when I'm changing scales, I will take a look and bring it onto a sheet first, and then that way I can see how the scaling is going to be affected on the sheet, right? Because I brought this in and it was 1/2 inch. Well, that took up most of my sheet, right? So once I bring something onto a sheet and I realize it's too big, then I will double click to get back into the view. So now that the view is active, you will get this scaling that shows up at the bottom right here, showing 1/2 inch equals a foot. Okay, so if it's too big, drop it down. If it's too small, bring it up. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to 1/4 inch equals a foot. It'll move the scale down, and then I can go ahead and move this view around and bring whatever else I want over. Does that make sense? All right.
I have another question.
Yes.
I have a bunch of elevations on my view from the side, like my level 1, my roof line, my loft line. Can I hide those somehow?
Yeah, we'll take a look at hiding those.
Okay, thanks.
So we're actually getting you're right on segues tonight. So we are going to go into this, and I want to set a template for this. So once you have brought the has everyone brought an elevation onto your sheet at this point? Have you scaled it so you can make 4 of these elevations on that sheet? If you have not done that, please do so. So again, you probably need to bring it down to 1/4 inch scale. So yeah, this is in 1/4 inch scale. And again, you're going to want to be able to fit 4 of these on here. Give another 30 seconds, and then we're going to go in and we're going to build a quick template.
Ram, I have kind of TMI on the labeling. There's roof, level 2, level 1, foundation wall, level 3. There's so much stuff on it. How do I get rid of that?
Well, so there's a couple options. We can turn. Are you using all those levels?
Not sure I am.
Are you is there stuff that's actually going to the top of foundation level? Did you put a foundation in there? Or
No, I think my template, the thing I imported brought a bunch of stuff over that I haven't turned off yet.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. All right. Well, you can hide those. So here's a quick tip. If you need to hide something, okay, there's a lot of ways to do it. Normally I would hide things in your VG. Okay. So by using, if you're in your view tab and we go to the view templates, or sorry, not the view templates, the visibility graphics, the one right next to view template. You can use this control window to turn on and off everything. So if let's say I wanted to turn my windows off, okay, all of a sudden my windows are off. Now it's still leaving a hole in the wall because Revit automatically cuts a hole in the wall. But just for example, I was turning that window off. If you wanted to turn off your levels, okay, all of your levels are in your annotation category. So if you wanted to turn all your level lines off, you could uncheck that. So Dylan, what you're looking at, you could uncheck that, apply that, and it would turn all your level lines off. Okay. That being said, if you have one little thing that you want to turn off, I don't recommend this. Okay. And I don't recommend this, but if you're struggling with one thing, you're like, I just can't get it to go away. Click on it, select whatever the object is or whatever the thing is that you want to get rid of, right click, and then you can do a hide in view. Okay. I don't recommend this again, but as a last resort, if you can't get something to disappear and you don't want to see it, you could hide it in view by right clicking on the element, hide in view, and elements. Okay. So Dylan, for instance, that being said, I would probably leave all of those lines on, leave the level lines on, and then the one, let's say we had this level 3 or we had some, extra levels, maybe you click on that and you could hide that. Okay. So if there's some levels and stuff like that that you don't want to see, you could right click and hide that. Again, if you want to turn everything off for a category, you can do that through your visibility graphics.
Hey Graham, this might be a question I need to ask you later, but I downloaded some windows and doors from the BIM website we were using.
Okay, then this is going to be a later question then.
Oh, okay, yeah, because it's not cutting holes when I turn that viewpoint off.
Okay, well that's fine. That's all about how the family's built and whatnot. So we can talk about that later if you want to take a look at it. But if it's not, I mean, if it's placing a window and it's there, I wouldn't worry that it's not cutting a hole in that wall.
Okay, yeah.
So it's something that Revit system families automatically do because it sees that it should cut a hole in there. It sees that really won't be there. But sometimes when you bring in other families, it'll just place it on top and the system wall family won't know to cut it out. So, all right. So now that we've got this set, I kind of have a scale that I like. You could shade this if you want. Maybe we'll make this shaded. Or if you wanted to make this, consistent color, you could do something here, whatever you want. It doesn't really matter as long as it's not wireframe. Okay. Because this wireframe in an elevation makes it super messy and you can't really tell what's going on. Right. So as long as you use a hidden line shaded or one of these, I'm cool with that. So I'll go ahead and just use a hidden line. Keeps it clean. I'll I'll actually bring these guys up here just to keep the bottom level 1 clear. And now that I've got this kind of set, I'm going to go ahead and build a view template. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a view template that we can then apply to the rest of our elevations. So right now, if we go up to our view tab in the ribbon, you'll notice that there's this view templates button. And if you click the drop down, there are a couple different options. And what we want to do is we want to create a template from current view. So I use this when I have altered a view to my specific likings. So, we'll take this view, we've scaled it down, we've shaded it accordingly. And once you've, altered the view, messed with it, done whatever you want to, you can click this create template from current view, and it'll essentially take a snapshot of all of these settings and allow you to apply that to all of your other views and or specific views, right? You don't have to apply it to all of your views. So let's go ahead and create a template from current view. And I'm going to call this exterior elevation. And I'm going to go ahead and click Okay, now one thing that's kind of weird, and I never understood why Revit won't allow you to do this. Click OK, come down here into your properties, and we're going to go back into the view template and select the exterior elevation template. For some reason, it never wants to hold the template that you build as soon as you build it. You have to reapply it after you build it. So now you should have something in the view template that says exterior elevation. Is everyone seeing something like that? Okay, do we need to walk through that one again? Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and bear with me just a second. I'll turn this to none and I'll delete this and build another one. All right, so there's no template on this currently, but I have the view the way I like it, right? I've got the scale correct, and I have the shading or whatever, graphic display I want. Let's come up to the view templates. So in your view tab in the ribbon, there's a view templates button. If you click on that view templates button, you'll get a drop down, and we want to create a template from current view.
Mine are turned off.
Like they're grayed out.
Yes,
Are you in the view? Or
I'm in my,
so if you zoom
Yes.
out on your sheet, are you on the sheet or are you double clicked into the view? Hover over a window and see if you can select the window. Like if you hover over anything in there, it should turn blue. If it doesn't turn blue, you're outside and you're outside on the sheet.
no,
So are you clicked into your view?
no,
Okay. Can you click into your view?
no.
Okay. Well, then we'll have to take a look at it later. Again,
Okay,
I
that's fine.
you can watch the video later and we'll take a look. We got a lot to go through and I can't stop for 15 minutes to get stuck on one person tonight. Okay, so anyhow, we'll go through this again though. Click into your view. So I don't know, come over here, Mike, on your elevations and make sure you're actually double clicked like into the actual elevation view. Is that it? You're muted, but okay. So now that you're clicked in, that's what I was trying to say. You got to click, make sure that you're in the view, not on the outside on the sheet. So once you're in the view, we'll go to view template, create template from current view. And this template, we're going to go ahead and name exterior elevation. We'll click OK. And then we'll hit OK again. And again, this is one thing that I've never understood why, but once you build the template, we need to come back inside after you've built it, click into the view template tab. It should currently say none, and select the template that we have just built. Once you've selected it, click OK. It should now have exterior elevation on the rest of your template, right? Under the view template. So since we built a view template, the whole purpose of a template is to apply to multiple views. So what I want to do now is everyone have an east, north, south elevation views on the left-hand side. Okay. Really cool thing that you can select multiple views using the control key on your keyboard. And we can select all 4 of those views at once. Okay. With all 4 of those views selected, you'll notice that this doesn't, it may say no template on yours. I don't know exactly what it says, but you can go ahead and click this edit on the view template. We can select the exterior elevation. click OK, and it's going to apply that exterior elevation to 4 views, right? So all 4 of those exterior views have that template applied to them. All right, any questions with view templates real quick for the elevation?
Can you run that one more time for me, please?
Yeah, this is the last time we're going through this. We really need to be paying attention, paying along, or staying with me. I'm sorry if I
No,
stumble over some words and stuff, but it just
we're choosing. I apologize. We're choosing the floor elevations, right? That's a step I need.
The 4 elevations. Yep. Select the 4 elevations on your left-hand side. And then go ahead and choose the view template. It should say edit or it should say none, depending on what you have selected. Go ahead and click this and then go ahead and select the template you want to apply.
Got it. That's what I needed. Thank you.
Right on. Thank you. All right. So that's going over the elevations and a first look at some templates. So let's go back to our floor plan. And you'll notice that when we're back to our floor plan, the elevation that you've thrown on the sheet will now have some type of a sheet name and detail number. You guys see that corresponding on your views? So that just shows me that, okay, I need to, if I'm going to have these elevations show up on this view, I need to make sure that I put them on the sheet, right? All right, next thing we're going to take a look at, we looked at exterior elevations. Let's look at interior elevations. So what I want to do is I want to come up here in my view tab, and I want to go to the create window or the create section and create another elevation. And you'll notice if you click the drop down, you can create an elevation or a framing elevation. I guess maybe that's what these ones out here are, framing elevations. Maybe that's why they're circles. Looks like it. Either way, we'll go ahead and just build an elevation and drop it right into the kitchen. Okay, so I'm just going to drop one elevation in the middle of my kitchen. And once I've dropped one, I'm going to go ahead and hit escape. So I should have one elevation in the kitchen. Again, I'm going to go, I'm going to delete this real quick and I will drop it again. So if I go up here to elevation, I want to create an elevation and bring it down and drop one in my kitchen. Okay. Now by default, it wants to choose a direction for you depending on where your mouse is. It doesn't matter if it's the wrong way. We should be able to correct it because we're going to add some extra elevations here.
Is there a way to change the size of the elevation? Mine's like super huge.
Yours is super huge. So then your floor plan is probably, what's your floor plan scale?
60 by 40, 1 inch to 20.
Yeah, we need to bring that up. So I guess real quick before we do this, let's go ahead. We'll build another sheet. Let's build a sheet and we'll put this view on a sheet just to make sure that we're all taking a look at the same size floor plan. Because that's a great question there, Pablo, about the scaling of this. Because if you have your view scale way too large, all these annotations are going to be massive. Okay. So let's go ahead and we'll go down to the sheets and let's right click and create a new sheet. And we're going to call this one A102. We're going to have to do this anyways, so might as well just go ahead and do it right now. Okay, so we're going to create a new title block off of an E1 30 by 42. And we'll just call this A102. And I'm going to name this floor plan view. All right. So now that I've got a sheet for my floor plan view, what do we think's the next step?
Up your floor plan.
Bingo. So let's go ahead over here in our floor plans. And my floor plan for the building is a sample residence floor plan. Yours is probably just called level 1 or floor plan, whatever it's called. And let's go ahead and drag this over onto the sheet. So you'll notice mine is already appropriately sized at a 1/2 inch scale. Okay. Yours might be at some majorly different scale. Like Pablo was saying, his was out at, you know, what was it? The 1 inch equals 20 feet. Okay. So it's probably really small. What I want you to do at this point is I want you to make this floor plan, your overall floor plan, as big as you possibly can while still keeping it on the sheet. Okay, so if it's 1/2 inch scale, make it, you know, bring it up to quarter. If you can bring it a little larger, you know, bring it to 3/8. If you can bring it a little larger than that, bring it to 1/2 inch. 3/4 is pretty large, but if you can make it 3/4, okay, you can put 3/4 on this sheet. Okay. What I want to do though is I want to fill this sheet as much as we can with this view. All right. Does everyone have a view on their sheet and it's somewhat scaled according to the sheet? Obviously, you can, obviously you need to make sure that this crop region is cropping, okay? If the crop region is, you can keep it visible, you can not keep it visible, that's fine. But if you just do the crop view, it's going to show all your exterior stuff if you have other things. So let's make sure that at least the crop view is on. And if you want the visibility turned on, that's fine too. I don't really care. Most of the time, once it prints to PDF, that goes away. It just kind of helps you see what you're looking at when you see the crop view. All right, so now that we've got that on the sheet, I want to talk a little bit about moving this around and the bottom, what's called a shape handle, a viewport 1, which anything you drop on a sheet becomes viewport 1 or viewport 2, depending on how many views are on the sheet. But you have this title down here, and it's kind of hard to control. And I just want to give you a couple tips and tricks on how to actually move this title around and move your line around, because you'll notice when you scale things differently, this stays the same, but the scaling changes, right? So if I change this whole thing to 1/4 inch scale, right, I still have this massive line, right? So let's talk a little bit about how to control that line. But first off, let's talk about the view on the sheet. So if you double click outside, we make sure that we are clicked off of the view, off of the sheet. So that way, when we hover over the mouse over the sheet, it can either select the sheet, right? It turns blue, or the view will try to select, right? This shows that we're on the outside of both of them. To move the view, if you click once onto the view, we have now selected the view. We haven't activated it, but we've selected it. And once it's selected, you'll get a move. When you bring your mouse over it, you'll get a 4-arrow move icon that shows up. So when you get that icon, you can go ahead and just use your left click button and drag that wherever you need to. Okay, so again, I'm deselected on both the view and the sheet. I'll come over, select the view, not activating the view, right? So I haven't activated, I'm not actually inside the view. But now that I've selected the view, I can click and use my left mouse button and the move arrow and drag that around onto the sheet. Okay, I'm gonna bring this off the sheet because it's a little easier to show you out here and not accidentally get the sheet as part of this selection. So does anyone have any questions real quick about moving a view on a sheet? Okay. So that's the relatively easy part. This is the part that drives me a little bit crazy. But with a couple little tricks, it's not too bad. So you'll notice that when you click on this view, that this line selects now. And that's really cool because it used to not select like this. You used to have to actually left click and select it this way. So if you notice that this line is really, really long and you're trying to click on it and you just can't activate it, you're like, how do I move this line? Take your mouse, go to the very right-hand side of the line, click and hold and drag up to your left. So you're going to make a little square and you're going to just barely clip into that line. Once you click into that, a node will appear on the line and you can grab that node and drag that in or out accordingly. Okay. So again, we're going to click on the very right side. We're going to move our mouse to the right side of the line, right bottom, drag up and to our left. So we just barely clip into that line. It's going to go ahead and select that line. A node will appear and we can now drag that node wherever we need to according to the view. Normally I keep this view title about the same width of the view. So if it was, if we scaled this down and I had 1/4 inch, let's just go to 1/4 inch view. If it looked like this, I would probably bring my view title in something like that.
Do we want the view title to be on the sheet later?
Yeah. Yes, we do.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. The view title just helps you know exactly what you're looking at. Okay. So that, this level 1 bathroom, right? Or whatever. We definitely want this to be on there. The other thing that the view title does is it provides the detail number for the drawing. So if this was off, let's just say that this was down here, I don't know what I'm looking at exactly. I don't have a detail number and I don't have a title of the drawing. So definitely try to keep that, and we don't need it to be right up inside it, but you don't want it to be too far away either, right? You want it to be, just something clean. Again, I'm going to move this back to 1/2 inch to kind of show what it's really going to look like. So maybe I'll bring that out like this. And then throw that, something like that in the middle of my drawing, right? Cool. All right. So now that we've taken care of our view scale, let's take a look at this elevation that we were creating, but it got super massive. So now, does everyone have some elevations that look at normal scale at this point? You don't have any annotations that are really, really big? Annotations, if the scale is too small, see how these annotations stay the same size, but the view shrunk? So if the scale is too small for the sheet, you end up with stuff looking like this, and it's really hard to see what's going on. So that's why we want to make sure that we can make our view as large as we can for the sheet that we're looking at, because these annotations don't move, or I'm sorry, they don't move. They don't change size. They just move according to how big the scale is that you're looking at. So this is always going to be the same size no matter what scale is on the sheet. But the relative size of what it is compared to an object changes drastically when you change the scale. Okay. All right. So now that we've got our scale set, let's go ahead and take a look at some elevations in the kitchen. So elevations are pretty cool because what they allow you to do, especially for interior elevations, is it allows you to use one location, right? I placed one elevation here, and get multiple views out of the same elevation. So this right here, I'm going to name Kitchen West. And if I click on the triangle down here, I'm going to go ahead and name that one Kitchen South.
How do you get the second triangle?
So if you want to get a second triangle, if you click on the circle or the square in your instance, you'll see these checkboxes around it. Click one of the checkboxes and it'll activate another view. So it'll build another elevation view in that direction. That work for you?
Yep, thank you.
Yep. Okay. So now we've got two elevations, right? And so it's a kitchen. Since I'm looking at kitchen elements, right, I don't really care to have an elevation facing this direction, facing the north, and an elevation facing the east, right? I just really care about these two interior west elevation and south elevations. So let's go ahead and take a look at them now that we've built these. So again, if you click on your triangle, you can go ahead and size how far left and right you want to view your elevation, as well as the depth of the elevation. So I'm just going to go ahead and set this just through the wall, and I'm going to view from wall to wall. And then with this elevation, I want to view from this wall. And I don't really care to see this dining space. I mean, I could, but I don't really care to right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring this back and focus just on our actual kitchen elements. Okay, any questions there? So we're going to go ahead and, like I said, and I try to do this before I start working with the views. Obviously, you can do them later. It doesn't really matter. But if you scale this and crop this before you put it on sheets, it's gonna help you in the long run. So now that I have those elevations, if I go to my project browser, I can see, right, I've got kitchen south and I've got kitchen west. So let's go to one of these elevations. Let's go to kitchen south. All right. So does everyone have some type of an elevation view that they're looking at? So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and build a quick view template, same way that we did before, for the exterior, but that way we can apply it to the interior elevations. So maybe let's make this one shaded. Ooh, I like that, right? Kind of gives you a little bit better depth and perspective. And let's go ahead and start looking at, and maybe shaded it's a good option for viewing it, but once we take a look at dimensioning it, maybe it might be a bad option. Okay. So the cool thing about a view template is it allows you to control one thing that controls multiple views, right? So if we want it to be, maybe you decide that you want it shaded. You originally decided you wanted it shaded, but later down the road, you wanted to change this to wireframe and or hidden line. You can do that with one move. So let's go ahead and build another view template for this. And I don't care what you do right now. If you want to build it shaded, if you want it hidden line, it doesn't matter. It's up to you. But what we're going to do is we're going to go and build a template and turn off some of the other sections. So let's go to view templates and create template from current view. And I want to go ahead and I name this interior elevation. And just like before, once I've built the section, I'll come down to the view template and apply my interior elevation to the view. Does everybody have an elevation template on your interior view? Okay. So now that there's an elevation template, you'll notice that when I come down here to the bottom to change my shaded or hidden line or whatever, it's all grayed out, right? Does everyone see that on their screens? All right. So anytime you see something grayed out in Revit, typically what a grayed out means is it's being controlled by something else. In this instance, it's being controlled by the view template. So let's go ahead and click on this view template, and it will bring up this window. Does everyone have this window brought up for their view templates? Again, that window is going to be, you'll apply the view template. Once you've applied the view template, just go ahead and click right here to the interior elevation view template. And you should be selected on your interior elevation assigned to one view. So what I want to do first off is I don't want to see other section views in here. That doesn't, mean anything to me. Maybe if it referenced something, but right now I don't really care to see that, and your drawings don't need to show them. So let's go down to the annotation override. So the second edit button down, and go ahead and click that edit button, and you'll see another window pop up that looks very similar to the VG windows, and they're the exact same as your normal visibility graphics window. It's just this is controlling the visibility graphics of an entire template. So when we go down to annotation categories, or when we select annotation categories and click S on our keyboard, it will drop us all the way down to sections or schedules. And let's go ahead and turn sections off. We also want to turn off in this, when we're in here, we also want to turn off our elevations as well. And if I click apply, you'll notice that in the background, that section had just disappeared. And we don't have a section anymore. So now that we've built a elevation for the interior, we can take that same template now, go to our west view, and apply the template to it, right? And then now the template is going to be controlling both of our interior elevations together. So if you make a change on one template, so let's say that we want to change the interior elevation template to show a hidden line. So we could go to this model display here and change it from shaded to hidden line. Click OK. And when I click OK, it applies not only the hidden line display, model display to the kitchen west, but if I click on kitchen south, we're also back to hidden line. Okay, so templates are very useful to control multiple views that you want to look the same, right? So we'll use a template for the exterior elevations, maybe the interior elevations, and maybe, if you want to try to use one for an enlarged view or a 3D ISO or something, you could do that as well, right? The possibilities are endless with what you can do with a template. All right, so one other thing I want to take a look at in your elevations is I want to take a look at dimensioning. So right now, if we take a look at where this floor plan is put, where this elevation is, well, I'm catching this countertop. And maybe I don't want to catch that in my elevation view. Maybe I want to put this elevation right here so I just see the exterior walls and it's a little cleaner. So if I grab my circle and I just move the circle over here, it should move all of my elevations. Actually, it's going to, sorry.
Graham, sorry to interrupt, but Elizabeth just sent a message in Canva. She said that her internet was disconnected and she was kicked from the Zoom call. Is there any chance you can let her in?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
No worries, but I don't see her there. I just let Sydney in, but I don't see anybody else.
Oh. She said that if anyone seeing this can tell Graham to let me back into the session.
Let me see. I don't see anybody else in the waiting room. Hopefully who's trying to get in?
Elizabeth?
Oh.
Elizabeth Tapler?
I don't see that she's in the waiting room anywhere. But she's not in here either. Okay, I'll keep an eye on that.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so you'll notice when you move the circle that it moves the symbol, right? But it doesn't necessarily move the corresponding view. So if I wanted to move this here and show, you know, just maybe this wall and this wall and not show this island, I've moved the elevation symbol over here, but when I click on the triangle, you'll see that the view is still set up back here. So you can go ahead and just click this line. Once you click the triangle, this view will activate. You can click this line and drag this around and bring this to where you want to be. So we'll bring this in a little bit. And then same thing with this line. We'll bring this guy to the other side here. So I'm not catching the island. If you have an island, let's try and not catch it in your elevation. It just makes things a little bit trickier. It's hard to see exactly what's going on because you're looking through another island. All right, so now I have a clean view of the south wall and a clean view of the west wall. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this south wall. And again, this whole project is supposed to be somewhat buildable, right? So obviously not every room is going to be detailed out completely, but areas of importance. So you're going to have some the kitchen, maybe a bathroom, right? That you're going to show some enlarged views or some more detailed and elevation views areas. Let's go ahead, and if you're going to go ahead and show that view, let's give it some dimensions. Let's make it meaningful. So we could go ahead and give a dimension like this. So now I know where the elevation of the top cabinets are. I can give an elevation here, you know, maybe for the bottom casework. You know, this is my wall. So here's to the first cabinet, second cabinet, third cabinet. Okay, right here, same thing, you know. Maybe this is going to, we'll go to here and bring it off of, you know, something that makes sense, right? So maybe this doesn't make sense to go to there, but it makes sense to bring this down and go to the back here. And so we know how far that cabinet is away from from this wall. Okay. So we want to put some type of dimensions in here that allow me to take a look at it and say, yes, I could go ahead and build that, right? Okay, makes sense. Okay, while we're at it, let's go ahead and build one more sheet, and we'll call this A104. And we'll start looking at the interior elevation view and placing it on a sheet. And actually, I think we want to interior plans and elevations. So this is one of the areas, and I think the next thing we're going to do is we're going to build the enlarged floor plan. We did this last week, but I want to go over it again. So let's just go ahead and call this interior plan and elevation, or interior enlarged plan and elevations. So, and I can go ahead now that I've got that and I take a look at this. Maybe I'll crop this down. I don't need as much height on that. And then you can go ahead and drag the kitchen over, right? And do something like that. And maybe I'll put the south one here too. So that gives us a couple elevations, but I also want to take a look at an enlarged floor plan. Okay, so last week we built an enlarged floor plan. We built a call out, made an enlarged floor plan, and then we built a 3D isometric view based on that floor plan. So we're going to do the similar process to get the next few views. And then we'll take a little break. So hopefully we can get this done in the next 20 minutes or so, and then we'll take a 5 or 10 minute break at 7:30-ish. We'll see. All right, so I want to go back to my floor plan view, and you can do this either on your sheet. You can double click into your view that's on the sheet, or you can just go straight to the actual view itself, right? The view that's not placed on a sheet. And I want to create a call out. Okay, so we did this last week, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a call out of the kitchen. So if I click call out, it gives me two options, sketch or rectangle. And I'm just going to go ahead and do rectangle. And when I click rectangle, it wants me to choose the top left corner and drag it all the way down to the bottom right corner. Okay, and once you've set that call out, again, I'm going to go ahead and do it one more time. So if you come up here to call out in your view tab in the ribbon, rectangle, and then we're going to click from our top left to our bottom right of the area that we want to create an enlarged view of. Okay. Once you have something that looks like this, again, this bubble will fill out once you put it on a sheet. If you want to edit the boundaries of the call out, you can select, go ahead and just click the call out, and you'll notice that nodes come up, and you can just drag that in or out according to wherever you want your call out to be. Any questions there with building the call out? Okay. So now that we've built a call out, we're going to go to the view. So you'll notice that by default, it just takes whatever the floor plan name is and then calls this dash call out one, right? So you'll see that right here in my project browser. This is sample residence floor plan dash call out one. So I'm just going to rename this something that makes sense to me. And I'm just going to call this kitchen enlarged floor plan, because that makes a lot more sense than call out one. Any questions on renaming that? Again, you can just right click and rename and change whatever the dash call out one is to your kitchen enlarged floor plan. All right, so let's go back to our interior enlarged plan and elevation sheet. So sheet A104. And what I want to do is I want to go and take that kitchen enlarged floor plan and drag that onto my drawing, onto my sheet. Any questions with that? Okay, so again, this is an enlarged view, so whatever you want to show of detail, I'm not putting in all the detail that you're needing to put in, right? Make sure that you're taking a look at the example packet or those PDFs. And, you know, we want to make sure that we're providing dimensions for the casework. You know, again, we want to be able to build this. So whatever I'm going to need to do, if I want to look at this drawing and be able to build it, I need to have some type of dimensions that reflect that. Oh, good. It looks like I got Liz Tapler joining us again. Welcome back, Liz. Sorry. So is there any questions on this right now? Okay, we got an enlarged view on a sheet. Okay, we got a couple elevation views. And you'll notice now that I've put this on a sheet and I put those details here, I can, if I go to sheet A104, which this is A104, detail 1 and detail 2. Detail 1, there's referencing my kitchen west, and detail 2 referencing my kitchen south, right? All right. So we're almost done with this call out, but I want to do one more thing with it. So let's go ahead and build our, I guess it's what, our 5th sheet now? Our 4th sheet? Let's go ahead and build our 4th sheet. And so we're going to create a new sheet and call this A105. Let's call it A106. And we're going to name this 3D views. All right, does everyone have a new sheet? All right, so new sheet, 3D views. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to come and I want to click this default 3D view button. And it may bring you to a 3D view that you already have. It may bring you to, it should bring you to a view right here in your project browser that says 3D. Does everyone see that? When you double click this little doghouse, again, that's right here in your view tab, 3D view. You can double click this doghouse and it should, or this little house, right? And it'll pull up a 3D view. So what I want to do is you'll notice on the left-hand side that you now have this view that says 3D in brackets, right? I want to right click, I want to duplicate the view, and I just want to duplicate it. And then you can right click your new view and rename, and we're going to call this kitchen. Call this kitchen 3D. 3D.
Hey, Graham.
Yes.
So my 3D view, I'm seeing my top floor. I'm not seeing my bottom floor. Is there a way to hide my top floor so I can get a view of my bottom floor?
Yes. We'll work on it in a second. I don't think you'll need to.
Okay.
Okay. Hopefully the next step solves this. So, all right. So does everyone have now a duplicated default 3D view that just set it, and then you've renamed it Kitchen 3D? Okay. So
Sorry. It's grayed out for me, the duplicate button.
duplicate is grayed out. You should be able to duplicate any view. I don't understand. Try with, are there any 3D views over here?
Yeah, I got the A106 3D view.
That's the sheet. Go up to the 3D views.
Oh. Oh.
And then let's duplicate the view. If you've got so.
Yeah, I was in the sheets.
Yeah.
My bad.
No worries. Sorry. All right, so we're gonna duplicate it one and rename it, and we're just gonna call it Kitchen 3D. All right, so it doesn't matter what it looks like right now. Hopefully this orient to view trick will change it. And if not, we can address it from there. Okay. So let's go ahead and use this awesome little tool right here. So if we go up and hover over what's called the view cube in our top right corner, there is a little drop down or a little arrow called the context menu. And you can bring this up, and we want to go down to the orient to view, floor plans, and we want to select our kitchen enlarged floor plan that we just built. And what that should do is it should build a little crop view of just that area for the kitchen. Go ahead and use one of the corners of the view cube up here, and you can change the perspective, right? So this is probably the best perspective for me to view this kitchen, right? Because I'm looking into both of the walls. This probably isn't a good perspective for me to use for the kitchen, right? So just use your judgment on which angle you want to come in at. And maybe I want to make this shaded, okay? Something like that. Did that work, Bethany? Or do you have, okay, cool. I was just thinking if it had, sometimes you end up with level 2 above your call out, so you may have still had to hide a ceiling or something, but sounds like you're good. So let's go ahead now that you've created a little 3D view. Let's go to our A106 sheet. And then just as we have been doing all night tonight, go ahead and drag our 3D view over and bring it in. Now you'll notice this is pretty small, right? That's way too small. I don't like that small. What's the point of building an enlarged view if it's going to be tiny? Okay, so make sure that you're scaling this appropriately. That's a lot better for my sheet, right? And again, you can use this this click where you left click from the bottom right to the top left of this little line, and you can drag that around. Okay, so we're going to create a couple 3D views. I think I've got 5 on mine, all by doing the same thing, by building a little call out and then orienting the 3D view to that call out. Any questions real quick on this?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have not finished my kitchen, but when I do, it will be kind of a galley. So one 3D view might not be sufficient. Is it okay to put 2 in?
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Give me 2 from different perspectives, right? So, and if you need to do that with multiple different floor plans in large views, maybe do that. And, or if you want it, you can do, so we can right click and like, this is our kitchen 3D view, right? You could duplicate, we could name this, let's just call this 3D kitchen, let's call it Southwest, right? Maybe we're facing Southwest. You could duplicate this view, rename it 3D Southeast, and then change the orientation, right? And then provide both of those views on there. So you're only using, you've only created one 3D or one call out, right? But you can create multiple perspectives from that same call out.
Can you go over how you change the scale? I don't have that thing at the bottom for some reason.
This?
Yeah, I don't have that right now.
Look at the top of your screen, maybe.
Not there.
This should be somewhere.
Sydney, are you on your sheet or in the view itself?
I'm in my sheet.
Okay, you need to be in the view.
Okay.
I have that problem too.
You have to, yeah. So if the sheet, there's no scaling on the sheet itself, right? The view is what is scaling, right? So if I went back to my, if I went back to my sheet and, you know, my sheet's not selected, nothing selected, I'm on the outside, or if the sheet's selected, and actually you guys aren't going to be in here. If you by accident double click into the sheet and you get this, just close out of it and you don't have to change it. Have to save your changes. But double click onto the view, and then this should show up. All right. Any questions? If not, let's meet back at 7:35. And we'll start getting some schedules. We're starting to get a lot of this stuff done. It just, the process of repeating what we're doing and making the rest of the views. So, all right. I will see everybody back at 7:35. So 9 minutes. If anyone has questions right now for me that you want to share a screen or something, I can entertain that for a few minutes, I guess.
Were you recording the beginning of class since I was super duper late?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I'll delete later.
Oh, so does that mean you want me to mark you present? Because I've got you absent right now.
That would be good.
Graham, I have a question.
Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I've turned some things off, and remember you said that do not use the
hide and view unless you need to.
hide view. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
How do you unhide it?
So to unhide things, so let's just say I hid this stove top, right? And now I don't have that stove. Okay, and let's say I also hid this countertop by accident, right? So I don't have that. To get those back, it's a two-step process. You need to first reveal the hidden elements by using this light bulb down here that's turned off. So if you turn that on, that light bulb, turn the light bulb on, and you'll notice that I now have two objects that are in red or in pink.
Okay, show me again where the light bulb is.
Right next to your glasses. Are you in the view?
Yes. Oh, I see it.
The light bulb should be on.
There it is.
So two-step process. Reveal the hidden elements. I guess 3 steps. Select the hidden elements and then come up here and you can unhide them. And then you could toggle that back off.
Okay, cool. Unhide elements. Excellent. That's it, man.
Perfect.
Driving me nuts.
Yep.
Okay. And then I've got, so there's a red bounded box.
Around the
Toggle.
outside like this, like mine.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you just, that just means you're in reveal hidden elements mode.
Okay.
You in the top ribbon, you'll see a toggle reveal hidden elements checkbox. It's a big X right up here.
Yes.
You can either hit that or you can just click the light bulb. Either way closes it.
Okay.
But
Perfect.
that's just warning you that, hey, you're in reveal hidden elements, and you can actually, you can, if you were in here, you could right click and hide things while you were in here if need be. And you see that those are turning pink, right? But you can also take this, toggle them to unhide that element, and then go back to your normal view.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
I have a quick question for you, Graham.
Okay.
I don't know, but would you be able to take a look if someone wanted you to take a look at their project and just give them feedbacks?
Yeah, I can give you some feedback on your project.
Can I send it to you by email?
Why don't we? No, I don't want to do that. I mean, we can do an office hours thing and we can meet.
Okay. This Thursday, I guess you have a session.
I've got, yeah, show up. Only one person showed up last Thursday. I was pretty upset that I sat there for an hour. The only person that showed up, unfortunately, had some difficulties with their mic. So I sat there for an hour and yeah. So I'm going to do it again this Thursday. So please show up if you guys got questions or things I can help with.
So I work until 6:30 now.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, man.
I was on a plane.
I know you were. I'd already met with you.
But I got myself into trouble, as you'd expect. There's too much happening.
How's the weather?
It's great. It's a break. So let me show you the outside. So I've got this. We're up on a volcanic thing, so that's the view.
Wow, that's awesome.
Share
Yeah.
your screen.
It's far. What's that?
Share your screen, please.
Oh, are you not seeing it?
No.
You just have to see his camera.
My camera. I just took my laptop outside. So it's 180 view of the Pacific.
So what
We're
island are you
perched
on?
on Big Island, on the
Big
Kona side, South Kona. So we kind of walked away from the. We didn't want in the middle of the touristy areas because of the pandemic.
Sure.
So we took a VRBO. Turned out fairly cost effective, and
Yeah,
she's
they
got
are.
a nice house out here, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah, I used one of them the last time I was in Hawaii. So
Yeah, because if you go to the kind of the main hotels, they can be pricey, like $300-400 a night, and
yeah, for sure.
come away for 3 weeks. That kind of adds up. So this turns out to be nice. But I'm working most of the time, so that's kind of boring.
Sorry to bother you again. I've changed the scaling on my call out, but my 3D view still is pretty tiny when I pull it over.
Okay, Jed, you need to change the 3D view change the scale on the 3D view. So double click into your 3D view and change the scale of that one. So did you bring your 3D view on the sheet?
Yeah, but when I go to the 3D view, I don't have that option to rescale it for some reason.
Well, you should.
I
Are you
know.
are you in a template? Are you clicked into the view?
I'm clicking into the view, yeah.
Do you have any of these options down here?
Everything but the scaling. It says perspective where scaling should be.
Interesting. Not sure. We can take a look at it in a little bit though. We're actually moving through this, so I'm gonna allow us to have some work time today.
Okay.
It's moving pretty good. So. All right, do we have everyone back? I've got a lot of blank screens, but that doesn't mean you're not there. So if you're there, thumbs up. Woohoo! Michael Mullins is having a party. All right. So let's go ahead. It looks like everyone's back. Hopefully, if you're not, you'll be joining us shortly. So let's go ahead and take a look at, we've got a couple more sheets that we need to build. Let's go ahead and take a look at our very front sheet, which is going to be our overall 3D view. So let's go ahead and build a brand new sheet, and we're going to call this one A101. All right. Does everyone have a new sheet? A101, we're going to call this, I don't know, 3D house or something. All right, so this is pretty simple. Okay, we're just gonna take do the same thing we've been doing for the last enlarged views, that enlarged 3D view that we just built, except instead of building it based off of a call out, we're gonna build it based off of the level 1 floor plan or whatever you've called your floor plan view. So let's go ahead. Again, we're going to come up to this view tab, double click the 3D view doghouse. It should create a brand new 3D view or a default 3D view over here on in your project browser. Let's go ahead and right click and duplicate that view and call it something useful. So 3D house. And then the last step that we've been doing for the last couple that we did on the large kitchen, we're going to go ahead and use the view cube and the context menu drop down to orient to view floor plans. And then I'm just going to go ahead and orient it to my floor plan of my building. Once I've oriented it to the floor plan, I can then use one of the corners of my 3D view cube to then create a 3D ISO or orient it to a 3D ISO view, right? And you can use a shaded to make it look a little better, whatever you want to do. Any questions there? Again, same thing we've been doing. Once you've got that built, we're going to go ahead, go back to our A101 and just drag that view right on to the front sheet. You'll notice that it's pretty small. So again, we can click into there and let's see if I can fit that. That'll fit. And you'll notice that it has a section box around the outside because we've oriented it to view. So you can turn that off in your view template, or again, this we don't have a view template on it. So in your VG, you could go to your annotation categories and turn off your section boxes if you want that to not show. I don't care if that shows or not. But yeah, something like that. Maybe that's a little bit too big on here. So maybe I'll want to actually scale this down just a hair. I like that better anyways. Oh. So now click out of the view and then I'll move this and that looks a little bit better on my sheet and I can move my title and resize it. Okay, any questions with that?
Yeah, really quick. I'm sorry, you went through really quick. How
Sure.
do I get rid of the box around it?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you double click into your view and you use the visibility graphics or VG on your keyboard, you can go to the annotation category and turn off section boxes. And that will turn off that border around it.
Perfect, thank you.
All right. All right. So last thing we are going to do tonight.
I have one question, sorry, before I move on.
Yeah.
All right. The lines, I don't know what to call
This
it.
line.
Yeah, is there a way to shorten that?
You can click on it and just drag that. Or if you don't want them to show at all, we could go to our visibility graphics and turn off levels. So the same thing we did with scope boxes, just this time turn off levels and that will disappear.
Do you want them on?
I don't care if they're on. If you've got a 2-story house, maybe leave them. If it's just 1 story, you can drop them off.
Okay.
If there's a reason for me to need another level line, let's leave them, but otherwise you can pull them off if you don't want to see them. I don't care either way. Again, I'm not, so when I'm grading these, I'm not looking for, okay, did this line get, you know, is this line showing, or is this, all I'm really looking for is if you look at my, my packet, I'm looking to make sure that you have some of the views, the enlarged views, the floor plans, and the dimensioning, right? The dimensioning is a big deal because without the dimensioning, the buildability is not there. Okay, and this is unfortunately, I don't know what the grade is you can get, but I don't think you can get a passing grade without dimensioning. So please make sure that that's where you're putting your efforts. Is just get views on the sheets, get some dimensions on them, make them buildable. Okay, I don't care how fancy things are. Okay, I'm not trying to make this a killer project. Obviously, if you want to go above and beyond, by all means, go for it. Okay, you know, it's something that the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it ultimately. So, but that being said, you know, if I'm not grading, is this wall, you know, perfectly transparent, or can you see this at a good enough angle? I'm just looking to get content on the sheet, you know, make sure that you have an understanding of what's going on. Okay, any questions there? All right, so the last thing we're gonna do before we break out, I'm gonna actually probably have about an hour or so. I'll break you out into breakout groups and you can work on your projects and or ask me questions. We're gonna build a couple schedules. We'll go ahead and build a furniture schedule and maybe a window schedule. So that way, if you don't have furniture, maybe you can either A, get some furniture and the schedule will populate, or B, you've already got it and it will show you all the different furniture that you have. So let's go ahead and take a look at building the next portion, which is the scheduling portion. So last thing we need to do, we need to build one more sheet so we can place these schedules on them. And so let's right click and build a new sheet. And again, this one will be our last sheet. So A105, and I'll just call this schedules. All right, once we have a new sheet created, again, name this schedules. It's going to be A105. Let's go to the left-hand side in our project browser and find the little tab that says schedule/quantities. Okay, so it's going to be right here under your legends and above your sheets. Has everyone found that? All right, let's go ahead and right click on it and create a new schedule/quantity. So the very top option. So this one I want to go ahead and build as a furniture schedule. So again, a lot of times when you bring these windows up, if you use your keyboard, you can press, you know, the first letter in whatever the category is you're looking for, and it'll drop you down so you're not just scrolling the whole time. So, you know, if I type in N, it'll bring me down to there. If I type in F, it'll bring me back up. So I typed in F, here's furniture. And so I want to just go ahead and build a furniture schedule. I already have one, but we'll just call this, you can call it furniture schedule, whatever. I'm just going to call it furniture schedule 2, just because I already have one built in here. And what I would like to do is I would like to choose a couple of these fields. So we want to choose family. We want to choose, and I want to choose type. And I want to choose family, type, and I want to choose count. Okay, so that's all I really care to bring over is family, type, and count. And we're going to go ahead and click OK. And you'll notice that we now have some type of a schedule. So what this is showing me, I've got a shaker bed, I've got a queen, I've got a double of that, I've got a desk in here, right? So those of you with furniture in there, are you seeing stuff appear in your furniture schedule? All right, good. So what I want to do is I want to make this one step better, and that's why I build the count into almost all of my schedules I build. Is right now this is really useful, except I'm still doing a little bit of hand counting. And if I'm going to make Revit build a schedule, I want to make Revit do all of the work for me. I don't want to do anything that is going to involve me making a user error, right? Let's make the program do the work for me. So I build schedules. I deal with lots and lots and lots of schedules. And if I relied on me having to add things together or build it in a way that I wasn't making Revit do all the math, do all the thinking, I'm not using it to its full potential, right? So the cool thing about Revit is not only is it a 3D program, but it is a program that holds lots of information and spits that out. And we need to be able to use that and utilize that portion of it. So right now, like I said, this is great. It's showing me what I have in here, but I'm still going through here. If I wanted to know how many sofas there are, how do I figure that out? I have to look at the sofa. I see that I've got a count of one. I also see that I've got another sofa with a count of one. So what I want to do is I want to just make sure that it takes anything that's a like item and combines it together. So it takes the summing or the totaling for me. It does all that work for me. So what I want to do is I want to go to the sorting and grouping edit field. So over in your properties, it's the middle of the 5 edits. If you hit one of the other ones, don't worry, you can change it right here on the top tab. We'll just go ahead and make sure that we're in the sorting and grouping tab. And so what I want to do now is I want to sort by type, and I want to take this itemize every instance off. Okay. So when I sort by type and take that off and click OK, automatically it now shortens the schedule and combines all the items, right? It tells me, oh, I need 7 of these chairs, right? It tells me I need 2 of these sofas, right? So we want to make sure that our schedules are spitting out information that's useful. A bunch of ones is not a very useful schedule. Make sense? Okay. So now that I've built a schedule, same as we've done all night long, we're going to go back to our A105 sheet. We'll go find that schedule. So it's probably open. Again, here's furniture schedule 2 that I just created. And we're going to drag that over and drop it on here. Don't worry about scaling these schedules. I don't care if they're really tiny. Don't worry about it. Okay. You just have one sheet with a few schedules up here that are small. It's not a big deal. In the real world, what we would do is just put this on a smaller title block, or put it on. We wouldn't want to just blow this up because then it's going to produce a massive size text. So you think about if you type, if you're in Word and you use 72-point font, right? How big that is. That's what happens when you blow this up. So we want to keep this at the same scale. So if it only takes up a little amount of room, just build a few more schedules and put them on there. Okay, so again, I've got a casework schedule. I've got a wall schedule. Let's go ahead and we'll build a wall schedule. Here's a door schedule. and a Windows schedule. Okay, so same type of concept. And if you want to use my examples and kind of look at the fields that you're going to be scheduling, we can. But let's go ahead and build a wall schedule together, because everyone's going to have some walls in their project. At least I hope so. Right? If you don't have any walls in your project, you better get on doing something. All right. So last thing, we're going to build one more schedule, and then we're going to break out into breakout groups for an hour or so, and you can work on your project. You can ask me questions. If you want to leave, you can leave. Whatever you guys want to do, the time is yours after we do this next schedule. Okay. So let's go ahead again. We're going to build this as a wall schedule, and I've already got one, so I'm just going to call this, go down to walls, and I'll just call it wall schedule 2. And for this, I want to go ahead and bring over, I want to bring over type. I want to bring over length. And I want to bring over width. And if we go ahead and build that schedule, it should give me all of my different walls with their individual lengths and their individual widths, right? So this is something that we wouldn't necessarily want to combine together in a schedule, right? Because these are all individual walls, right? You're gonna have a wall that's 8 feet long. You're not going to have a sum of all of this. So you're not going to have a sum, being a 100-foot wall, right? So this is one time that we're not going to bring the count into play because we're scheduling the length already. Does that make sense? Because we're not counting instances. We're scheduling the feet of the wall. Okay, and last but not least, we'll go ahead and drag that over and drop that onto the sheet. Any questions? All right, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop my recording. Hopefully, it'll keep it small enough for me to be able to post tonight. Fingers crossed. And we're going to go